Hello, guys. Good morning. Welcome to the session today. Hope you all can hear me, right? Okay. Yeah. Let us start the session. So, if you remember, yesterday we have, or yesterday or the previous sessions, we have seen the basic concepts related to the Google Cloud platform, such as you already now know that Google Cloud platform, what is Google Cloud platform, and what are the services that the GCP is providing. And we have also seen the basic concepts related to the GCP interfaces. If someone wanted to work with the Google Cloud platform, what are the services that they have to, what are the interfaces that they have to know? And after that, we have also seen the IM and admin. And after that, we have also seen what its identities are, accesses, as well as the management policy, resource hierarchy, and we have also seen how to create a project, how to set up a project, how to enable the API, how to enable the billing. All of those things also we have seen. Okay. From today onwards, we are going to see one of the new topic that is Google Cloud Storage. Just please. I have not explained. I have not explained. This is the first topic of Google Cloud Storage. I will explain. Okay. Okay, we will see that today. Yeah, Google Cloud Storage. Let us try to understand Google Cloud Storage, guys. So, what is Google Cloud Storage? How to create a bucket? What are the ways to create a bucket? All of those things. Let us try to see. First thing, very important thing is that Google Cloud Storage is a fully managed service. I want you guys to understand what is meant by fully managed service. Okay, so for that, let me open one of the slide where it explains what is fully managed services. Okay, so while I was talking about the on-premises and cloud in our previous sessions, if you remember, I was talking about the on-premises. In on-premises, for example, if I categorize the work that was doing for developing a solution, so we have to first manage the physical infrastructure. Then we have to manage the virtual machines. Then we have to manage the application service and then develop the solution. This is the typical steps that we need to follow in a application development stage, right? If I wanted to develop an application, we need to follow these steps, that we need to manage our physical infrastructure. We have to manage the virtual machines. We have to manage the application service and develop the solution. In on premises, we have to take care of all of those things. Okay, in on premises, who has to take care of all of these things? In on premises, when I say on premises are a traditional working model, we are the company that where we are working has to take care of managing the physical infrastructure, managing the virtual machines, managing the application service, and developing the solution on top of. And when you go to the cloud platforms are categorized in three types. Cloud platforms are categorized in three types. One is VM based services, virtual machine based services, managed services, serverless services. VM based services, managed services, serverless services. VM based, virtual machine based. That means we don't need to manage the physical infrastructure. That physical infrastructure will be managed by the cloud provider itself, and we have to worry about managing the virtual machines. We have to worry about managing the application service, and we have to take care of the developing the solution. In virtual machine based services, you don't need to physically purchase the hardware. Okay, you don't need to physically purchase the hardware. When you are working in a traditional model, You have to physically, or you have to purchase the hardware, and you have to manage the physical infrastructure. But here in a virtual machine based services, when you're working in a cloud platform, there is no need of physical infrastructure management. That will be taken care by the cloud provider. You need to focus on managing your virtual machine, application service, and developing the solution. Similarly, when you go to the managed services, this physical infrastructure as well as virtual machines also, you don't need to worry about it. You don't need to worry about to maintain it. You just need to take care of your application service and developing the solution. And when you go to the serverless, you don't need to worry about this one, this one, this one. You have to just focus on the development of the solution. See here, you are maintaining the four things here. Three, two, only one. See, when you are moving from the on-premises to the serverless, the way that you are working, the way that you're focusing on the development, or the way that you are focusing on the infrastructure is keep on decreasing. Your focus on the developing a solution, or your focus on the development is keep on increasing. Okay, so when you're working in the on-premises, you have to work on these four activities. For example, if you are spending some time, you have to spend some time on each and every activity. But here only you have to spend time on the three activities, two activities, only one. That means only you are focusing on the development, not on any other thing. You are not focusing on any infrastructure details. So this is what is the difference between the virtual machine based services, managed services, and serverless services. And why I told you guys, it's because you must know, because from now on the category of the services will be like this only. First thing is that when you go to the Google Cloud Storage, it is a fully managed service. A fully managed service is where you don't need to worry about the physical infrastructure, where you don't need to worry about virtual machine management. You don't need to worry about the application service. You can just focus on maintaining your application, and you can just maintain your data here. Okay, so virtual machine based services, in virtual machine based services, you will be only focusing on the virtual machines and application service and developing the solution. But in the managed or fully managed services, you don't need to worry about the physical infrastructure and managing the virtual machines. You don't need to worry about those things. You can just focus on your application service and development. Here, that is what is the reason. Fully managed service. When I say a fully managed service, no infrastructure headache. So you don't need to worry about infrastructure management, because that will be taken care by the cloud provider itself. So that is the reason, as I told, fully managed services means there is no infrastructure headache. There is no infrastructure to be managed. There is no infrastructure to be maintained. But what is Google Cloud Storage, sir? It is category wise, it is a fully managed service. But what it is a service for storing your data, sir. Google Cloud Storage is a service for storing your data. So what kind of a data we can store it here, sir? If you ask me, we can store any type of a data. What amount of data we can store it here, sir? Any amount of data we can store. How many number of files we can store it here, sir? Any number of files you can store. Google Cloud Storage is a service for storing your data. Any type of a data you can store. Any amount of data you can store. Any number of files also you can store. And it is an object storage service, also called as an object storage service. And as I told you, if you remember the category, If you remember the category, I think it is not here. 1 minute. Yeah, here it is. So if you have a data, if you have unstructured data, where we are storing it here, guys? GCS. So object kind of a data. Object means a file of data, a file of any format. For example, sir, I have an audio file with me. I have a video file with me. I have a CSV file, Parquet file, PDF file, Word file, anything. If you have any type of a data, that can be stored in the form of an object in the Google Cloud Storage. An object is nothing but a what, sir? Object is nothing but a file of any format. Okay, a file of any format, guys. Okay, let me see. So, yes, yeah. So it is an object storage service. An object is nothing but a file of any format. And so this is what, by definition wise, it is a fully managed service. It is a service for storing any type of a data, any amount of data, any number of files. It is also called as an object storage service because we are going to store the objects only. Object is nothing but a file of any format. And what we need to do, sir, if I show you, if I go to the Google Cloud platform, if I wanted to see Google Cloud Storage, if I wanted to go to the Google Cloud Storage, you can see here, Cloud Storage, Enterprise Ready Object Storage Service. So this is how the Google Cloud Storage looks like. Okay, you can see here in the Google Cloud Storage, you have a terminology like buckets. And it is asking for you to create some bucket. Okay, let us try to understand what is bucket and all. Sir, everything is fine. Google Cloud Storage is a fully managed service for storing your data and it is an object storage service. What we have to do if I wanted to store some CSV files or a Parquet files or audio files or a video files? What I have to do, sir? If you ask me, I will say that we need to create a bucket. We need to create a bucket to store the objects. We need to create a bucket to store the objects. A bucket is nothing but a container to store the data, sir. Okay, we need to create a bucket, sir. Okay, we need to create a bucket. This is what we call as a bucket. And this is what we call as objects. If I wanted to store the water, we need to have a bucket. Similarly, if I wanted to store the objects, we need to have a bucket. What is meant by bucket? A bucket is nothing but a container. An object is nothing but a file of any format. Okay, so this is what is the definition. So in Google Cloud Storage, if I wanted to store the objects, we need to create the bucket. We can create any number of buckets. We can keep any number of objects. Okay, is that clear? And why we are storing it? Okay, I am going to ask you, why to store the water inside a container, sir? Can anyone tell me why to store? Why we are storing some water inside a bucket? In a household, we will be storing some water inside a bucket. Why we are storing the water inside a bucket? For the further thing we wanted to consume it, right? So you wanted to use it for some other household activities. Similarly, why we are storing the objects inside a bucket? It's because for further, if you wanted to do the data processing, or if you wanted to do the data analysis, or if you wanted to clean the data, prepare the data for any activities, whatever the data that we are storing inside the bucket, we are going to retrieve it. We are going to retrieve it. Retrieve it means extract it from the bucket. When we are going to retrieve it for our further processing purpose. Okay, further processing or analysis purpose. Okay, so in Google Cloud Storage, it is acting as a staging layer, or it is acting as a data lake where we are going to store some amount of a data which will be used for the retrieval purpose. So that is the reason it is also called as a storage and retrieval object storage service. Storage and retrieval service also you can call. So because we store here the data, whenever it is required, we retrieve the data. Okay, so this is the requirement, guys. So we store it and we retrieve it. Store it in further time. Whenever we need it, we are going to retrieve it. Okay, is that clear? Anyone have any questions? Correct. A bucket is nothing but a container, nothing but a folder also. Folder can have multiple folders also.
Can we set a retention period on the
Yes,
files? Okay.
yes, we can put it. I will tell you all of those things. Yes. Okay, so the definition, I want you guys to understand the definition. The definition wise, Google Cloud Storage is a fully managed object storage service. Here you are going to store the objects of any type of a data, any amount of a data, any number of files. If you wanted to store it, you must create the bucket. An object is always tagged to the bucket only. So you must create the bucket. And inside the bucket, you can store any number of objects. Inside the bucket, if you wanted to create any number of folders, also you can create it. Okay. So let us try to create the bucket. While creating the bucket, what are the parameters that we need to remember? Someone was also asking about retention policies. Someone was also asking about uniform and fine grained. I will tell you each and every concept in a very clear way. Try to be very attentive on these particular things. Okay, if anyone have any questions on any of those things, please ask me now. I'm going to start how to tell. I'm going to tell you how to create a bucket.
I posted a question directly to you actually in the slide
Yes,
that you have, previous slide,
yes,
like
yes. I will look at it.
on-prem.
1 minute,
Yeah,
guys. 1 minute.
yeah.
Yeah, 1 minute, please. So, what parameters do we need to take account while selecting between the virtual machine, the machine managed, and serverless? So, the parameters is very simple. Is that I have given you the parameters, right? So, if you
So,
look at here,
mhm.
if you look
Yeah,
at here,
my
uh,
question is kind of like on-prem. Is it like in general you're talking about on-prem versus cloud, or
yes, of course,
okay, okay. I thought
on-premises
like
first. Yeah.
okay, I thought like some services in GCP we can
That we
do
will
a
talk
but
about in upcoming sessions. So
huh?
today I told you Google Cloud Storage is a fully managed. Why it is fully
Right,
managed? I told you. Maybe tomorrow in
right.
a BigQuery I go serverless. I say okay, why it is serverless? I'll tell you. Yeah, you will
Oh, so
understand.
so
Sir,
different services are
Yes.
differently categorized?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
sir,
Yeah, you guys not able to hear it is a multiple sessions going on, guys. So and that's the reason I have read the question as well for you, right? Yeah, yeah. Someone was asking. Yes,
sir,
Chandrasekhar. Yes.
when we say it's a fully managed service, right, sir? Does it mean that it is serverless only? Like nobody manages anything? It is all like,
No, no, bucket not inside a bucket, bucket inside a folders we can create to organize something. So, sir, I have a photos. So assume like this, sir, I have a photos folder. I wanted to store my family photos. Okay, if I wanted to store family photos, but my I will be having the family photos of January, February. Sir, I will be having further and 01, 02, 03. Okay. So here for if I take a photos on 01, I want some photos to be uploaded here. So this is your bucket. This is high level. Inside that you can create a folder one January, February, March for organizing purpose. Inside the folder, you can again create a one more folder. So this is how you can able to manage it. Okay. I will show you that. Yeah. Yeah, someone was asking that Chandrasekhar J. Yes, please.
Sir, that is what I was asking. The
Yes.
bucket service is not serverless, right? Is it serverless in
It's
nature?
not serverless, it's fully managed.
Sir, if it is serverless, right, GCP will handle everything, right? Even
Correct.
load balancing it and everything, GCP will handle it, right?
Correct. Correct.
So, like, suppose, right, the resources allocated to the
Okay.
bucket, like
Okay.
all those things, we have to manage it, right? So, um, but if it is serverless, we don't have to worry about
That's
resources and
what
all
that
those.
means, right? So that's what that means. So when it is fully managed service, you have to handle your bucket here. You have to create your own bucket and you have to maintain your bucket like retention policies, access controls, everything you have to manage it here. But when you
Okay.
go to the serverless, you don't need to worry about all of those things. You can just
Oh,
develop your solution.
okay. But the bucket is not serverless, it's fully managed service.
It's fully managed. So most, I mean, fully managed. Next one is serverless only. Only some of the aspects you have to take care here.
Okay.
Okay.
Sir,
Yeah.
we talked about IAM also, right? IAM is also linked to bucket, right, sir?
Yes, yes, we will cover that topic. Okay,
Okay, sir.
Chandrasekhar, we will. Those topics will come. See, I have just talked. See, guys, look at here. So whenever I am talking about at a definition point of view, if you have any questions, ask me. Okay. Further, all of those things. Okay. If that is the case, I will talk. I will ask you if you have any questions at the end of the session. Because at the end of the session, you will not be having any questions because I'll be teaching like that only. Okay. So let us keep the any questions at the end. In that case, whatever the things that I am covering during the session, you will be able to cover everything. I will be able to cover whatever you are asking. Okay, let me keep the questions and answers session at the end. Okay, so let us try to create a bucket and we will see all the topics will come here. Whatever you guys are asking, it will come here only. So let us try to create a bucket. Sir, everything seems good that Google Cloud Storage is an object to storage service. We can store any type of a data, any amount of a data, any number of files. And here we have to create a bucket. But how to create a bucket is a question. How to create a bucket is a question. Sir, can we create a bucket using the console? Yes, we can create a bucket using the console. Sir, can we create a bucket using the Cloud Shell? Yes, we can able to create the bucket using the Cloud Shell. Sir, can we create the bucket using the SDK? We can also create the bucket using the SDK. Okay, let me try to tell you. So we need to create the bucket. So to create the bucket, you can go to the console and create. You can also go to this Cloud Shell and you can create. And you can also go to the SDK and you can create. And let me tell you this today, maybe this tomorrow, and this is an assignment. Okay, I'm going to tell you this one first. And sir, if I wanted to create a bucket with the help of the console, first we need to go to the Google Cloud Storage and you have a buckets here. You do not have any buckets. This is the first time that we are creating a bucket. Click on create bucket. Sir, when you wanted to create a bucket, you have to provide 5 parameters. Look at here, name of your bucket, where to store your data, storage classes, how to control the access to the buckets and objects, and how to protect the object data. Name of your bucket. Son, bucket name should be globally unique. You cannot give just random name. And if you give name, that bucket was already taken. I have not created that bucket, but it should be globally unique. No one has so far created that name, and no one has so far used that name as a bucket name. Okay, you cannot give random name like bucket one, bucket two. Almost all those names are might have taken already. Okay, so you have to give a proper bucket name. So source bucket. I'm gonna give the date of today's. Okay, so this is how. This is a bucket name. You have to be, it is a permanent name. One thing you cannot change it later, first thing, and it is a globally unique name. Afterwards, you cannot change it. And one more thing is that it should be globally unique that no one has so far used it. So that is what is your bucket name. And next thing, choose where to store your data. So when it comes to the location point of view, you have 3 types of allocations here. Okay, so the very first thing is that single location, single region, multi-region, sorry, dual region, multi-region. In a single region, for example, assume that you have created a bucket by selecting only single region. So this is your bucket, sir. You have created a bucket one, and this is your where you keep some data. Some data you have used, some sales.csv. Okay, some sales.csv you have applied, you have uploaded to this bucket. So what you have done, you have selected a single region. You have selected a single region. When you select a single region, there won't be any replication because you have selected only the single region. So that is the reason that there is no replication. So when there is no replication, the availability will be less. And latency also little bit high. Okay, so when you are selecting a single region for creating your bucket, there is no replication, and the file availability will be lesser because you see here why I am saying it is a less availability, high latency is that assume that you have uploaded a file to this particular bucket, and this entire region is crashed. You have selected a region, that entire region is crashed. What happened to your file? Can you guys tell me what happened to your file? You will be losing your file as well, right? Yeah, we will be losing our file as well. So that is the reason the availability of the file is not always available. The file will not be available all the time. So that means if the region is crashed, you will not be having your file. That means the availability will be less. Okay, if there is some network issue at that particular region end, then the latency will be high. So that is the reason when you select a single region, there is no replication to one more region, and the availability will be less, and the latency will be high. Similarly, in the same point of view, you also have created a bucket. This time you got to know that when I am selecting a single region, there is no replication. So that is the reason if this region is crashed, I am losing the file. So in that case, what do you think that while you are creating the bucket, now this time you will select two regions. What do you select? Two regions. So this is, assume that this is region 1 and this is region 2. Okay, this is region 1 and region 2. So whenever you select the same bucket only, you are not doing anything. So this is region 1 and this is region 2. While you are creating the bucket, you have selected two regions. You have selected two regions. Then there is a replication between two regions. There is a replication between two regions, guys. There is a replication. That means when you upload the data to this particular bucket in this particular region, automatically data will be replicated to the one more region. As I told you, data will be replicated to the one more region. That means your file will also be available here. Okay, you have your file available here as well as here. Data between replication between two regions. The data will be replicated to the one more region as well when you select the two regions. That means while you are creating a bucket, if you select the location is a dual region, that means your bucket, your file will be available in the two regions. Your file will be available in the two regions. How it will be available, sir? In the backend, the Google Cloud Platform will be replicating the data to the one more region as well. In the backend, Google Cloud Platform will make sure that the file is available in the two regions. Okay, so what is the advantage here is that whenever your file, whenever this entire region is crashed, you can have your file from this one. Okay, whenever your entire region 1 is crashed, you can able to retrieve your data from the region 2. That is the advantage. So that is the reason comparatively, tell me guys, the availability is lesser or comparatively single region, the availability is more? is more, and latency also, because your file is available in two regions, the latency will be less, right? When the latency is means seeking, I mean seek time to retrieve something. So whenever you are wanted to retrieve that particular file, you can actually retrieve it here and retrieve it here, where whichever it is having a higher good network, and you can able to retrieve it from there. So that is the reason the latency will be lesser. And what happens if the both regions is crashed? Tell me, guys. What happens if both of these regions also crashed?
Data loss.
Again, the availability will be less. That's the reason. So when you go, if the, I mean, if you are in a very bad luck, then both of the regions will be crashed. Our file will be, we are going to lose our file. Then what we will be doing in that scenario? In that scenario, what we can do is that we can select multi-regions. We can select what, sir? We can select multi-regions. That means the file will be available in multiple regions, region 1, region 2, region 3, region 4, multiple regions. Okay, here also your file available, here also you available, here also it will be available. Okay, so that is the reason when you go for the multi-region, the you will be selecting multiple regions. When you select the multiple regions, your file will be available in multiple regions. How? The replication among multiple regions, right? The replication will be among multiple regions, guys. And now tell me, comparatively, the file availability is more or less. So that's the reason it is called as a highly available. High availability here, highly available. The file will be highly available. The latency is minimal latency. Okay, very minimal latency. So this is how it works, guys. Okay, so this is how it works. So now you get to know that. Where is our this one? Sorry. Okay, here it is. I'm gonna copy it from here. Okay, look at here. When you select a single region, there is no replication between the regions. So that is the reason the file availability is less and the latency is high. When you go to the dual region, the data is available in the two regions because you are selecting the two regions while creating the bucket. So whatever the data you are uploading to the bucket will be applicable, replicated to the two regions. Whatever the data you are uploading is replicated to the multiple regions in the multi-region. So that is the difference. In dual region, data is replicated to the two regions only. In multi-regions, whatever the data you are uploading, it will replicated to the multiple regions. Okay. So comparatively, which is highly available, sir? Multi-region is
Multi-region, sir.
highly available. So
Multi-region.
now tell me, when you are getting a lot of benefit, the cost wise, which one will be very costly?
Multi-region.
Multi-region is costly, right? So the cost is more here. The file availability is also more here. Okay, the file is highly available. That is what we need. So at any cost, if you want your file to be available, then you can go for multi-region. And when you will be going for a single region and you have some data that you wanted to upload it to the bucket, it's okay for you to be, if the file is not available all the time also, it is fine for you. In that case, you can go to the single region. Okay, so if you want your file to be available all the time and it's okay for you to maintain the cost also, at some companies they will be okay for at any cost. They don't want it to lose files and they don't want it, they want their files to be available all the time, right? In that case, go for the multi-region. Most of the times we will be selecting multi-region only. Okay, so this is the difference. So here you go and you have here multi-region, dual region and single region. So when you go to the single region, for this particular, anything you can select, for this particular region, the cost is per GB per month is equal to $0.02. Per GB per month is equal to $0.02. When you go to the multi-region, you have a replication cost. You have a replication cost. So the storage cost. This is the storage cost. So when you have a region, you have only the storage cost. But when you go to the multi-region, you have a replication cost is also there. So that is the reason you can able to see highest availability across largest area, low latency with a single region. You can also dual region. It's the same thing. The thing is that you can select a dual regions. Comparatively, multi-region is highly cost. Yeah. So that is how it is. You can select a dual region, two regions. Okay. Yeah. So multi-region, dual region, single region. So according to your requirement, you can ask your you can ask your client or manager that, sir, are we going to use this bucket and these files are very important for us or not? If it is very important, you select the multi-region. Then there is a cost associated with it. No, 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 this is not important files. It's okay. We have a one more backup of the file also. We need it only for some time. You can go for the region, single region. Okay. So that is how it is. Name of the bucket, choose where to store the data. Once you click on it, correct. That you can think of. Correct. So now the next thing is storage class for your data, which is also very, very important. Commonly asked question in the interviews also. Can you tell me about the storage classes in the Google Cloud Storage? So let us try to understand. Before that, let me give you some kind of a understanding. Then you will only tell me why the storage classes is needed or not. So assume that you have a 4 files with you. Your client has given 4 files: file 1, file 2, file 3, and file 4. While he is giving the 4 files, he also told you that this file we are using it frequently. This file we are using it frequently for the analysis. Frequently accessed file. This file is a frequently accessed file. This file we are accessing once in a month. This file they are asking you to accessing it once in a quarter. And this file we are accessing once in a year. Now your client has given 4 files to you, and one file is frequently accessed, and the second file is once in a month they are accessing it. The third file we are accessing it once in a quarter. The fourth file once in a year. Now tell me, if I put the same cost for all of these requirements, would it be logically correct or not? If I put the same cost for all of these things, would it be logically correct? No, right? So that is the reason Google Cloud Platform has come up with the storage classes. And first storage class, for frequently accessed data, you have a standard storage class. Once in a month, near line. Once in a quarter, cold line. Once in a year, archive. Okay, so this is the reason Google Cloud Platform comes up with the storage classes. So for frequently accessed data, you can use standard storage class. For accessing a data once in a month, you can select a near line. For accessing a data once in a quarter, you can go for the cold line. So this is bucket level, sir. So if you assume that all the files inside the bucket, you are going to access it frequently, upfront you select the standard storage class. And it is editable option. Later point of time also, you can change it from the near line to standard, standard to near line, standard to cold line, anything. Okay, it is an editable option. But region is not an editable option. You cannot, once selected, cannot be changed. Region cannot be changed later, sir. But storage class, once selected, can be changed later also. It's an editable option. You can change it. Okay. So frequently accessed data, standard storage class. Once in a month, near line. Once in a quarter, cold line. Once in a year, archive. Okay. So that is the reason you can see here. So standard storage class, best for startup. Sorry. Then it will be Yeah, that is what it is. See, the logic will be like this. I'm gonna go there. Yeah, please be give some time, please. Okay, so when you go to the standard, it is best for the short-term storage and frequently accessed data. And when you go to the near line, data will be accessed once in a month. When you go to the cold line, the data for those data which is accessed less than once in a quarter. For the archive, data accessed once in a year. Okay, so when you are going for a different storage classes, you have a different requirements. Okay, but why? What is the difference? I mean, how it actually difference in terms of the cost? Okay, how it actually difference in terms of the cost is which is very important aspect that we need to remember. So, for example, frequently accessed data. Look at the frequently accessed data. And let us try to think in perspective of the cost, and let us try to think in perspective of the 1 minute, guys. I think I have a one of the slide. Let me look for the slide. Forgot that where it is. Cloud storage. 1 minute. Cloud storage. Yeah, here it is. Okay, look at here. And I could actually tell you storage price and all. Okay, not this one. I think we have, I think this is very old file, it seems. 1 minute, give me 1 minute. Now, where is that? Okay, somewhere here. Storage in database. Yeah, here it is, I think. Yeah. So you have 4 storage classes. So you have nearline, cold line, archive, and all of these things. This is how this diagram actually explains it. So the storage cost is very high for the standard. The retrieval cost is very high for the archive. I'm gonna tell you how it actually differs. See, for example, sir, if you, I mean, whenever you are selecting a storage class, you have to be very smart and you have to properly select the storage class. One more thing is that it is editable option. Afterwards, also you can able to change it. So the storage cost for the standard is very high. The retrieval cost for the archival is very high. Let me gonna tell you. For example, so these are okay. These are two diagrams. Assume that these are two diagrams. This is one and this is two. The upper one is one diagram, bottom one is one more diagram. The storage cost and the retrieval cost. The bottom one, retrieval cost is very high for archive. So this is storage cost. This is retrieval cost. Storage cost is very high for the standard. It's because you are frequently accessing data. You are accessing it the data frequently, and the data has to be available all the time. See, you are accessing the data frequently. The data has to be available all the time. If the data has to be available all the time, the data have to be available over the network all the time. If the data has to be available over the network all the time, they have to put a lot of resources to be make it available on the network over the network. So that is the reason they are putting a lot of effort on top of it. So that's the reason the storage cost will be very high. The cost will be according to the effort that they are putting in, right? So Google Cloud is making sure that your file is available all the time. So because you are frequently accessing the data, so that is the reason the storage cost for the frequently accessed data is high, and archival is very less. And similarly, retrieval cost. If the data is already available all the time, and when you wanted to retrieve it, it's easy, right? So they are not putting any effort, right? They are not putting any effort to again for the retrieval process. If the data is already available, you can just copy and you can able to load it to any other file, any other system also. So that's the reason the retrieval cost is very less. but the retrieval cost. So for the archival, you are accessing it only once in a year. That means the file is not available all the time. And but if you wanted to retrieve it, you have to be make it available. If you wanted it to make it available, then there is a cost for that. So that is the reason. So if you wanted to retrieve it, the file has to be available. If the file has to be available, it has to be available over the network. And if they have to be available over the network, they have to put a lot of resources to do that. So that is the reason retrieval cost is very high for the archival. So now you have to be very smart. While if you are accessing it frequently, if you select the archival, then there is a lot of cost associated. Okay, while you are retrieving it, there will be a high amount of cost, and the file is not available all the time. Similarly, for frequently accessed data, if you select the standard, you will be able to get a lot of good benefit that the storage cost may be high, but the file is available all the time. The file is available all the time so that you can able to easily access the file. So, and nearline and cold line is having the minimal, having the average options. Like storage cost is lesser comparatively, and retrieval cost is also comparatively less compared to the archive and standard storage class. Okay, is it cool? So this is how you have to be very smart while you are selecting the storage classes. Now come here. You have standard, nearline, cold line, and archive. So standard is to frequently access the data. The storage cost is very high. Nearline, accessing the data once in a month. Cold line, accessing the data once in a year, once in a quarter. Archive, accessing the data once in a year. And the retrieval cost is very high here. So this is how you can able to select any option. Later point of also you can change it later. For now I am selecting the nearline. Later point of time I can also change it later. Okay, so that is how it is. So this is how you can also select the storage classes. We have selected the bucket. We have selected where to store the data. We have selected the storage class for my data. And the next thing is choose how to control access to your objects. Okay, choose how to control access to your objects. So this is also very, very important, guys. Access control. I want you to unmute yourself and try to give me the answers I'm going to ask you now. Assume that you have a bucket. Assume that you have a bucket. This is a bucket. And you are going to upload the files. File 1, file 2, file 3, file 4, file 5. So assume that you have 5 files. There's a manager, there's a user 1. User 1 is manager or a client. On the other hand, you have a user 2. Is there some data engineer? So user 2. Okay, so look at here. We are talking about the access control, guys. In the access control with help of the cloud storage buckets, let us try to focus on. Assume that you have a user 1 and you have a user 2. And manager, most of the time user 1 needs an access to all the files. See, manager needs an access to all the files. He needs an access to this file. He needs an access to all the files. This file, this file, this file. Because is the manager or the client, he's supposed to have an access to all the files, or let us assume that there is a user 1 who needs an access to all the files. And the other hand, you have a data engineer who need only access to the 3 files. Who need only access to the 3 files. That's it. He's only working on these 3 files data processing. So he needs only access to the 3 files. Okay, so this is how it is. Now tell me how I can achieve it. Now tell me, guys, can anyone tell me? Can anyone suggest me? How can we achieve this thing? Just think in a simple perspective and tell me. Yeah.
With two different roles.
Okay. Yes, user 2 needs a granular data and this user 1. Okay.
Sorry, it will be controlled through IAM only, sir, through role level
Correct.
security only.
Correct. Someone is saying via IAM we can manage it. Correct. That is fine.
Folder
And
level access.
yes, folder level access. That is also one more. So can I do like this? For the user 1, he needs an access to the all the files. Oh yeah, someone is also telling object wise. Yeah, that is also one more thing. Yeah, all of those. Yeah, object level and yeah. So I think most of the people have given one is object level, that is correct. One is IAM level, that is also correct, and one more is one guy was told folder level, that is also correct. All the answers are correct, but I'm going to make it in a proper constructive statement so that you will be able to understand it here. Assume it like this: that user one is a manager who needs an access to all the files inside the bucket. Who needs an access to all the files inside the bucket. Tomorrow you are adding one more file also, he need the access. Okay, tomorrow if you add one more file also, he need the access to that file also. So that is the reason I don't want it to provide him the access to the object level. I will provide him the access to the
Folder level.
bucket level.
Okay. Level.
Right? If I provide him the access at rate bucket level, what will happen, sir? Even though if I add one more file, remove one more file, add a couple of files also, he will be having that access. So this is what we call as a access at rate. Tell me, sir, access at rate bucket level. Okay, so because if I provide him the access at rate object level, what will happen is that he will be having only the access to these 5 files. Okay, I wanted to provide him the access to 5 files. I can go here and provide the access. But tomorrow, if you add some more files also, he will not be having an access. So that's the reason I selected bucket level access, bucket level permissions we call. So if I provide him the bucket level permission, he will be having an access to all the files inside the bucket. Okay, and now tell me, guys, this for this user 2, he needs only access to the file 1, file 2, file 3. Now how do we do that?
Custom level access. Oh, sorry.
Can we provide him the access at rate object level? So I can go to the individual object. I will add his username. I will go here and add his username, add his account. Here also I will go and add his account. Here also I will go and add his account. That means object level, he will be only having to that particular object. Access to that particular object only, guys. This is what we call as the object level permissions. In object level permissions, I will go to the file 1 and add his account. I will go to the file 1, add his account. I will go to this file 1, I will add his account. So that he will be having the access to the file 1, file 2, file 3. Okay. So we are providing the access at rate bucket level so that this guy is having access to uniformly having an access to all the files inside the bucket. So that is the reason it is having a uniform access control. Okay, uniformly having an access to all the files inside the bucket is nothing but a uniform access control. And the next one is he will be having an access to only the individual files. So that is the reason it is a fine grained. We are grained the operation. We grain. This is called as a graining operation. So this is what we call as a fine grained access control. Okay, fine grained. We further grained the objective level permissions only restricted to the file level. So this is what we call as a fine-grained access control. Is it clear or not, guys? So for the user 1, if I wanted to provide him the bucket level, what I have to do? I will go to the bucket level. I will add in under the IAM. Okay, it can be achieved using IAM, sir. It can be achieved using IAM. So I will go to the IAM, or under the Google Cloud Storage only, IAM will be tagged. So under the IAM, and I will select that particular bucket, add his username. That's it. Only one activity. Okay, only one activity. For any number of files, only one activity is that. Under the IAM, I will add is the username for the bucket. Done. But for this one, you cannot achieve directly. It's because you have to go to the each file and add his account. Okay, so when you select a bucket as a find and access control, you go to the each file. You can't go to the bucket, right? If you go to the bucket, it is a bucket level permission, cannot be achieved. So you go to the, when you go to the file level and you add the account if you wanted to provide. And one more advantage that the Google Cloud Platform provides is that when you are achieving something which is fine, then that means, can I do like this also? Can I do like this also? Tomorrow, if I wanted to provide him the entire things also, I can do it. So you can think of like a, this is your first floor, this is your second floor. Uniform is your first floor. Fine grained is your second floor. Second floor is something which is already having the first floor. So you can also achieve uniform here. That means you can also do bucket level permissions also. You can do it here, and you can also do object level also. You can do it here. This is the advantage that you get with the fine grain. If you select the fine grain, what is the advantage, sir? You can do both bucket level permissions and object level permissions. That's the advantage. But when you go to the uniform, you can only do the bucket level permissions, sir. You don't get the object level permissions. Only bucket level. Bucket level permissions can be done via IAM. Object level permissions can be done via ACLS, access control list, because it is an object, right? So you have to go to the object and you select the ACL, access control list. You have to add the list. That's it. Okay. Any question here? If anyone have, please raise your hand. Okay. Please raise your hand. Please raise your hand. If anyone have any questions, please raise your hand. I'll go one by one. One minute, please. 1 minute. Yeah. Yes, yes, Srinivas. Yeah, tell me. Access control list. Yes. Not list of objects and bucket. It's a list where you are adding for this file which account is to be providing the access. A file with the account, a Google account. Yeah. Okay. Yes, Vinod Kumar. Okay, no problem. Kishore.
I did not understand completely about the difference between uniform and fine grained, sir. So uniform, you are getting the full access of to all the files in the
Correct.
bucket, right?
Correct.
So for fine grained, isn't it an overhead to create a list and create, assign few files to that list and
It's like this. So in the uniform, you can't achieve object level permissions. Okay, so tomorrow, sir, this is a manager, he needs an access. So tomorrow he become a project manager, he nowhere managing the files of yours. So you wanted to make him only access one file, two file, three file, but you can't do that. You can't achieve it with a uniform access control. When you select a uniform access control, it will only be bucket level permissions. Okay, you can't go to the each file and provide the access control. You can't take care of the access control list.
right?
But when
Since
you
here,
are selecting the
for our
file, you
example, we
can
only
achieve
took 5
both
files.
bucket
That
as
is
well
okay.
as object level.
Yeah,
Okay.
so for example, we took only 5 files. That is easier to manage. What about if there are 1 million files and we want to get access to 10,000?
No, then in that case also you have to manage it. If you wanted to manage it fine grain or object level, you have to manage it like that only. There is no option. So, sir, I wanted to provide, I have a 5 developers, I wanted to provide 5 access, 5 objects to those, 5 permissions to those 5 objects. Then you have to do that only. You have to manually do that. Or you can create a console. Via console also you can provide the access. That is also fine. You create a list of things and you provide that list to the cloud shell, so that the shell will understand, it will automatically provide the access to that particular buckets to your users. You can create a list and give it to the cloud shell, and it will understand, and it will provide the object level permissions if you have some 10, 15, 20 also.
Okay, for some reason I'm not still there yet. I understand the concept, but I'm not still there yet. Maybe if I see an
Yes,
example of
please.
how we do
Yeah,
it,
I mean, while we are once we create the bucket, you will get to know more. Yeah. Sorry, Saroj Kumar, I can't understand what you're talking. Sorry. Guys, is someone is talking? Please mute yourself. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I think this is clear. Ashish, you have any question? Yes. You do not have any files. You do not have any folders, right? No, 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 no. I have created manually. Cloud Shell. So yesterday I have created the files or folders in the Cloud Shell only. You come there, mkdir, you create the folders. No, those are automatic. Those are also manually created. Docker is also manually created. I have created. Yeah, Google Cloud Shell. Google Cloud Shell is one of the virtual machine. No, it's again GCP. Virtual machine is from the GCP only. Yeah. Okay, I think this is clear, guys. So one more simple thing is that, hope this is clear, that you will be able to do that. And one more, the next thing is that, for example, now you select the uniform. Uniform is nothing but ensuring the uniform access to all the objects inside a bucket using the bucket level permissions. And fine grained is specify access to the individual objects by using the object level permissions, nothing but access control list, and in addition to the bucket level. So that is what I told you. Fine grained, you can achieve both ACLS plus IAM. So that means you can do bucket level permissions as well as object level permissions as well. Okay, I'm going to unselect it, click on continue. And finally, you have retention policy and object versioning. Okay, retention policy and object versioning. So look at here. Object versioning, it's very simple. So if you wanted to have a multiple versions of your file, you can go for the object versioning. So I have a one file, sales.csv. So tomorrow I'm creating a one more file. I wanted to have a second version of the same file. In that case, you can enable the object versioning CSV, and you can have a version 1. Similarly, tomorrow it is version 2. So when you wanted to have a multiple versions of the same file, you can enable the object versioning. Okay, so that is what is object versioning. Object versioning is that if you wanted to have a same file with a multiple versions, you can have the object versioning. Okay, so this is what it is. And one more thing is retention policy. Retention policy is important. So assume that you have created a bucket and you are uploading one file. You are uploading one file and you want the file to be not to be modified, not to be deleted by anyone for some amount of time. You don't want this file to be modified and deleted for some amount of time. Okay, sometime, for example, some time is nothing but 2 hours. For 2 hours, you don't want this to be file to be modified and deleted. In that case, as soon as the file is uploaded, for the next 2 hours, you don't want anyone to be modify it or delete it. In that case, you can go for the retention policy. You can go for retention policy. So in the retention policy, you select the retention period. This is retention period. So until the retention period is completed, as soon as the file is uploaded, until the retention period is completed, no one will be able to modify it or delete it. No one will be modify it or able to delete it. Okay, once the retention period is completed, they can able to do any actions. If they wanted to delete it or keep it, it's your choice. Okay, so this is what is retention policy. Retention policy is something you wanted to retain your file for some amount of time. You wanted to retain your file as usual for some amount of time, so that within that retention period, no one will be able to modify it or delete it. So that is what we call as a retention policy. So this is what we call as a retention policy, guys. Let's go there. And you can select a retention policy. Duration you can select if you want, for example, 180 seconds. I'm selecting 180 seconds means 3 minutes. You can select minutes, days, months, years. You can select anything. What about the objective versioning? Objective versioning is something that if you don't enable the objective versioning, the file will be overwritten. Okay, if you want the version to be available, then you select the objective versioning, either one only. And you can able to see here objective versioning, maximum number of versions also you can manage it. Okay, so this is how it is, guys. So I'm going with the retention policy. You can enable the objective versioning if you want your file to be available. I mean, if you want your file with the multiple versions, whenever you are modifying it, you wanted to have your older versions also. In that case, you can go for the objective versioning. No. I wanted to go for the retention policy where for some amount of time you don't want your file to be modified or deleted. For example, I have selected here the 180 seconds. That means 3 minutes. Until next 3 minutes, no one will be able to modify it or delete it. Okay. So I'm going to select, click on create. See here, for creating the bucket, we have spent a lot of time understanding 5 important points. One is name of your bucket, location of your bucket, storage class of your bucket, access control, and how to protect the data. Click on create. Now you will see, now you will understand all of those things. So for example, I wanted to upload one file, sir. So I'm going to upload some files. So any files, I did not worried about this is a format of this one, because as I told you, by definition, cloud storage will be able to store any number of files, any amount of data, any file format. There is no restriction on that, right? So that's the reason I just uploaded any file. Here, JSON file, Avro file, application file, all of those things. Once you upload it, I wanted to delete it, sir. Can we able to delete it? See here, it cannot be able to delete it. Click on the view details. Look at here. One, you are trying to delete it, but it is not able to delete it. It's because the file cannot be deleted or cannot be overwritten because of the retention policy. Okay. So after 3 minutes, if you come and try to delete it, yes, of course, it will be deleted. Okay, that is one. And if you wanted to see here, location is this one, storage class, public access, and protection. Protection is retention of 3 minutes. Configuration. While you are creating the bucket, you have selected this is the configuration. As I told you, region is not an editable option. But storage class is an editable option. It can be editable. I can change it now also. And one more thing, access control is also editable option. Now I can also go it to the uniform. Okay, once you select the uniform, you cannot come back to the again fine grain. That is also one more thing. From the uniform to fine grain, you can't come, but from the fine grain to uniform, you can go. So this is how you have it. 1 minute, guys. I'm getting one call. Give me 1 minute. Okay, guys, I supposed to stop the session. I'm stopping the session here for today. Okay, we will see rest of the things tomorrow. Okay. So if you guys have any questions also, we will see tomorrow. Okay, I'm really sorry for that. So another session to be started here. So I'm going to stop the session here for today, guys. Thank you all. Yeah, thank you. I will clarify all your doubts tomorrow. Yeah. Thank you.